Currently, it is extremely difficult to find a knowledgeable plant-based doctor. So our best alternative is to learn how to communicate effectively with our current doctors. In this video, I'm going to share 6 key skills for getting the most out of your doctor visits and some examples on how to do this. So our current system is based on a lot of trust and a lot of intimidation when we go to our doctors for advice and for health information. We always feel like we can't challenge them, and we always just have to go with the flow on whatever options that they provide us. But it's not helpful anymore to go along with these types of recommendations because they actually have been leading to more harm than good, given the status quo by the pharmaceutical companies and all of the other people who have their hand in this business. This is a business. So you need to remember, as a consumer, you need to look at the options that are presented to you and make an informed decision based on those options. You do not have to go with whatever your doctor chooses or what he says is best simply because he said so. But before we begin, I want to give full credit to Dr. Pamela Popper for this valuable information that she provides to myself and the rest of her students. So the first thing you need to do to become a more informed consumer is to educate yourself not only on health in general, but on your specific conditions. Know going into the visit what you're going to be discussing and what types of things you might need to ask and what types of standard interventions are typically recommended for your situation or for your lab results. That way you can have intelligent conversations with your doctor where it's collaborative and there's back and forth dialogue as opposed to him just telling you what to do and you just going along with it. I already alluded to the next skill, and that is to ask questions. Don't only ask questions about your test results and your symptoms, but also ask questions about the specific interventions that they are recommending to you. What are the efficacy rates? What are the safety implications? You want to see real outcomes from real people who have undergone these interventions and how they turn out on the other side, and how they have been impacted as a result of those interventions. So you want to look at 2 key things when it comes to these outcomes is, number 1, did it improve their quality of life? Are they suffering less? And number 2, did it improve their life expectancy, or is it impeding it in some way? When you're determining what intervention to go with, it's very important to look at the risks and the benefits. So yes, this may take away my aggravating symptoms in the moment, but the big picture is, will this help me live a better, longer life? So if it harms some other organ in your body or some other function in your body, it may not be worth it to you, but you need to know that information in order to make an informed choice. So make sure you ask your doctor for this information up front. Now, you don't have to do this in an oppositional manner. You just want to be as diplomatic as you can by maintaining a neutral tone. Just follow along as you would buying anything else in our society. If you were going to buy a washing machine or a hairdryer, you would ask the same questions to the people selling you those products. Your doctor is selling you products. You need to ask very similar questions on a very similar rapport as you would with any other salesman. So the third skill I'm going to discuss is something that I've personally been doing since my chronic condition began in my early 20s. So this is gathering as much scientific data and information as possible prior to going into your appointment so you can ask proper questions and so you can respond to your doctor's recommendations with the proper insight. If you've never heard of a certain intervention or a certain recommendation that your doctor is making, it's going to be very difficult to know what questions to ask in the first place. So bring research articles with you, anything that is going to support what you feel you may want to do with your health by means of an intervention or symptom management, if that's all that's available to you at this point. Just make it a standard practice to prepare well in advance for each of these interactions. This is an important appointment. This isn't just you showing up and listening to your doctor. You should be just as prepared as he is or she. They will be sitting, researching all of your medical history and all of the details and all of the test results that you have had recently ahead of time to make sure they're prepared for your appointment. So it's important that you do them a service and prepare yourself as a consumer and as a patient the best that you can. It will make for a much more effective and successful interaction. And you will leave the appointment feeling good and feeling like you've accomplished something and feeling satisfied with the interaction, as opposed to feeling remorseful or regret, or I wish I would have, said this, or I wish I would have done that differently, or oh, I forgot to ask that. Yes, you can always get a hold of your doctor later on, but it's so much more beneficial to do it in the moment so you can get the full breadth of the information and the context for which you will be making these super important decisions about your health. So the fourth thing you want to think about when you are at your doctor's visits is to not regurgitate information that you have heard from other sources, what he said, she said. That's not helpful. Your doctor hears that all the time. Well, so-and-so said I'm supposed to get this much protein, and this individual and my cousin's friend, Stacy, it's white noise. So in order to get their attention, it's helpful to focus on evidence and data. That's what they can understand. That's what they can find a common ground on and give you some informative information when it comes to your health. The next skill is recognizing the importance of always making the final decision about your healthcare, because ultimately you are the individual that this is going to impact the most. Your doctor is going to see patient after patient after patient. Whether or not you take their recommendations and utilize them is not going to hurt their feelings. Yes, it may interrupt their ego a little bit from time to time, depending on who you're working with, but that's just a red flag that maybe that's not the best doctor for you. Your doctor should feel 100% on board for whatever you feel comfortable with, and they should provide you with the most up-to-date information and the most accurate information in order for you to make an informed decision. That's what their job essentially entails. So remember, before you leave the doctor's office, you should always feel good about what you discussed and what you decided together as a team collaboratively. So the last skill I want to discuss is something we kind of brushed on earlier, and this is tact. So you don't want to come at your doctor with opposition or a combative attitude. You want to work together as a team. And you have to keep in mind that they have never, or most likely rarely, seen another individual like you, somebody who is very motivated and versed in the scientific literature and somebody who's actually taken steps to improve their health. Your doctor probably hasn't seen too many people get better. So regardless of your assumptions going into the discussion, just keep in mind where they're coming from. I think that's really helpful in understanding how to find a common ground. So just like any relationship, you can gently train and guide them along how you most prefer and benefit from your interactions together. That's how you get the most out of your healthcare. So to go over some typical dialogue when you're in the doctor's office, a lot of people will have awful side effects from their medications, for instance. So you might go into the doctor's office and say, I've been experiencing a lot of lethargy and I've noticed a lot of acne and my appetite's out of control. Can I please get off these meds? And your doctor will likely respond with, no, sorry, these are meds that you need to be on for life due to your condition. And then your response is typically, oh, okay. Or the conversation might look like this. Your doctor might say, you have such and such diagnosis. It's time to begin this intervention, or it's time to take this screening. And your response, okay. Maybe that's not everybody's response watching this video, but I know more likely than not, that's typically the way it goes in the doctor's office, because I used to be that same patient. I used to be that same obedient person, just sitting, looking up at the doctor and hoping that they can solve all my problems. The truth is they don't have all the answers. Nobody does. That's why it should be a collaborative process, and you both should be doing your part to bring the best and most informative understanding of your condition and your options for treatment or symptom management, depending on the situation. So a more effective approach to these typical dialogues is something like this. You go to your doctor's office and you mention, hey, I have lost 30 pounds. I've been exercising. I've improved my diet. Do you think we could start, tapering me down off these meds? And the doctor will likely respond with, sorry, your condition is chronic. People with your disease or XYZ stay on this medication for life. You could politely respond with, well, I've actually been doing some research on this topic, and according to these articles, it mentions that I can reduce or eliminate my diabetes medication, my cholesterol medication, and so forth if I continue these healthy habits. Would you mind taking a look at these and letting me know what you think? And maybe we could start monitoring my progress, my lab work, and eventually start tapering me off these meds? Remember, your doctor is not used to seeing people get well. So he's not coming at you from a combative perspective. He's just giving you what he knows. And it's unfortunate, but it's just reality at the moment. So another typical dialogue that may come from your doctor in your physical exam or whenever you are visiting is something like, oh, you're postmenopausal. It's time to start getting your annual DEXA scans to test your bone density. And you could respond politely with, I don't think I'll be doing that, but thank you so much for your recommendation. And your doctor may respond with, well, this is a standard procedure to reduce your risk of bone fractures. I strongly urge you to reconsider. And you might say something like, I have several articles that show otherwise. I will bring them to my next appointment and we can discuss this. So there are 3 major takeaways I would love for you to get from this video. Number 1, if your doctor is not ready to collaborate, it's time to find a new one. There are so many doctors out there. Yes, it takes time, but it's important to find the right one. And again, many of them are not plant-based, so it's important to find the one that suits you best along the lines with that consideration. And I just want to say that it is helpful to have a plant-based doctor, but it may not be completely necessary. Just know that some of your biomarkers might be a lot different than people of the average population. So when you're getting test results back and when you're getting certain recommendations, they may be coming from a place of helping those people from that sicker population group, people who do not follow a plant-based diet. So just again, educate yourself and know the data, know what you should and should not feel is a red flag when it comes to your care, and what you need to act on and what you really should just leave alone because no, actually having a low white blood cell count is okay because I take care of myself. Or no, having a low HDL is actually okay for me because I don't have a high LDL. So there are different situations and different biomarkers with vegans and vegans who eat really healthy, who eat whole natural foods that may cause concern to your doctor, but is really of no concern. So the second takeaway is to engage in informed, well-researched discussions about your care. These discussions will be far more constructive than arguing with your doctor or just taking their advice at first glance. And the third and possibly most important point is to be an active participant in your care instead of just a passive recipient of the services provided by your doctor. So be prepared, do your research, and you will inevitably result in a better, more healthful outcome. I hope this video was helpful, you guys. I had a lot of fun researching it. I absolutely recommend Pam's program to everybody and anybody who's interested in improving and maintaining their health. I hope to see you in the next video.